What is up, Nuggets fans? Denver Nuggets fan 2 back here again to do another video. In this video, I'm going to give my thoughts on the trade the Nuggets made last week and also talk about the re-signing of Wilson Chandler, which was made official yesterday. Two big moves by the Nuggets that I think will definitely help us going forward. Going to first talk about the trade. If you haven't heard by now, the Nuggets did trade Nene to the Washington Wizards for JaVale McGee, Ronnie Turioff, and a second-round pick from the Los Angeles Clippers. This was a three-team trade involving the Clippers, who got Nick Young in the deal, and I thought overall it was a pretty fair deal for all three teams involved. It definitely was a surprising and somewhat bittersweet trade. I didn't really expect us to make a move at the deadline. I thought our front office was going to stand pat and kind of just roll with the crew that we already had in place. But nonetheless, we did make a deal, and it's unfortunate that Nene had to go. Nene is a guy that's been a pivotal piece and player for this organization and city for the past several years, has been a big part of our success, and it's definitely going to be sad to see Nene go. I wish him nothing but the best in Washington, and I think he'll definitely help that team out, give them a solid veteran presence, and be a leader on that young Washington Wizards team. And it's definitely kind of a new era, if you will, in Denver Nuggets basketball. It's kind of crazy to see one chapter end, if you will, in Denver Nuggets basketball, and now we're kind of like turning the page and starting a new chapter in the history of this franchise. Obviously, everyone knows about the big trade last year with us getting rid of Carmelo, Anthony, and Chauncey Billups, and now with Nene being gone, Kenny Martin and J.R. Smith obviously no longer with the team, and even guys that we've seen leave over the past couple of years like Dante Jones, Linus Kleza, two pivotal pieces of that Western Conference playoff run. And it's kind of crazy that Chris Anderson is really the only guy left from that Western Conference Finals team. So it's definitely kind of a change in the guard, if you will, here in Denver, and it's definitely, I think this move solidifies that this is a new era in Denver Nuggets basketball. So it is sad, it's bittersweet to see Nene go, but there's definitely some positives in getting rid of Nene. Nene is a guy that throughout his career here has been wildly inconsistent. He's a guy that's always had all-star potential, but really has never living up to that potential. He's a guy that's dealt with durability issues and injury issues throughout his career. That's definitely plagued his career. And after we just gave him that huge contract extension in the summer, that 5-year, $60 million deal we gave him, which is about $13 million you're paying him per season, he definitely kind of disappointed this season thus far and didn't really live up to that contract. And Nene is a guy that we've paid a lot of money to throughout his career, and I'm not sure he's really living up in terms of his production to the multiple contracts that we've given him throughout his career, especially this most recent one. And I think with the recent play of our young guy, young bigs like Kenneth Faried and Timothy Mozgov and Kosta Koufos, I think those guys really made Nene even more expendable. And you add all the other things I mentioned with his contract being so big and him not really playing well this year, and once again dealing with injury issues. I think it made it easy for the Nuggets to trade him. And the biggest positive coming out of this is now Kenneth Faried gets to be a starter. Faried deserves to be a starter on this team. I think he's a future All-Star, and I think it's great that in us moving Nene allows him to play more minutes and continue to develop, improve as a player, and gain more chemistry with this team. So that's a huge plus. Getting rid of Nene's contract obviously is a big deal. It gives us cap relief. It allows us to be more flexible going forward, not only in the trade market but in free agency, and we now have more money to spend, and getting rid of Nene is also going to allow us to sign Ty Lawson eventually to a new contract extension, and obviously getting rid of Nene was a big reason why we were able to re-sign Wilson Chandler. So there's a ton of positives in getting rid of Nene, and it's sad to see him go, but I think all in all it was the best move for the organization to make. And if you look at Nene's numbers head-to-head with JaVale McGee's, they're pretty similar in terms of their production. Nene's averaging about 13 points per game, 7 rebounds, a steal and a block. He's shooting 51% from the field, 68% from the free throw line this year. McGee, on the other hand, is averaging 12 points per game, 9 rebounds, 2.5 block shots per game, and 0.6 steals per game, shooting 53% from the field and 50% from the free throw line this season with the Wizards. So they're pretty even in terms of their production. Better shot blocker than Nene. He's going to help with our defense. The guy's a freakish athlete. He can run the floor well. There's not many 7-footers that can run the floor like him, and he definitely fits in with our style of play and playing that kind of fast, up-tempo style of offense. I think he's going to really fit well in there. He's going to obviously probably have to get a lot of his points off of rebounds, primarily offensive rebounds. He's not really going to be one of our go-to guys on the offensive end, but he'll definitely, as George Karl mentioned, will have to get his points within the flow of the offense. But I think JaVale, he'll be a solid offensive option for us, and he's a guy that's only going to continue to develop. And like I said, he helps us in a lot of ways. Like I said, he's a great shot blocker. He can run the floor at 7 feet. We get another 7-footer, which you never can have too many of those. And he helps us in terms of us getting younger. getting cap relief, and he's a guy that's got a ton of potential, and like I said, is a freakish athlete. He's a better rebounder than Nene. That's a plus as well, and is a guy that is only going to get better with time, and he definitely has his issues. He definitely comes with some baggage. There's been some maturity questions with JaVale McGee, and definitely his basketball IQ isn't the greatest. But George Karl is a guy that has dealt with head cases, if you will, or guys with baggage, if you will, throughout his whole career. Dealt with Sean Kemp in Seattle through his time there, and then just his time as the coach of the Nuggets has dealt with guys like Carmelo Anthony, J.R. Smith, Kenyon Martin, and plenty of others that are guys that have baggage, if you will. So I think JaVale McGee now being with a new team, being with a winning team, and a team that's won on a consistent basis, playing under a coach like George Karl, I think he's going to bring the best out of JaVale, and I think it's only going to help take his game to the next level and help him improve as a player, on the court, and then improve as a person off the court. So I'm excited to have JaVale McGee. Brings a lot to the table. Obviously, he's not the post scorer that Nene is. Nene's post game's a ton better than JaVale. I mean, Nene's a lot more refined offensive player, but hopefully JaVale can continue to improve his game and work with our coaches to improve his post game, be more of a scorer on the block, and then maybe look to work on his jump shot a little bit. So nice addition for us. Sad to see Nene go, but excited to have JaVale McGee. Now talking about the re-signing of Wilson Chandler, if you didn't see it already, the Nuggets made it official yesterday that they had come to an agreement with Wilson Chandler on a new 5-year, $37 million deal. Wilson Chandler is going to be making about $7.5 million per season throughout the course of this contract. Huge addition for us. This negotiation with Wilson on a new contract has been hectic. It's been kind of drawn out, and I'm just glad it's over. It's been it's been a long time coming, and it's great to finally have Wilson locked up for 5 more years, and I'm excited to see him be part of this organization for the next 5 years. And this is a pretty flexible contract for the Nuggets. Only $7.5 million per season you're paying him. That's pretty good. And if the Nuggets feel they want to trade Wilson down the line, this is a very tradable contract. So I think it's a very good deal for the Nuggets. You look at what Wilson did with us last season. He averaged 12.5 points per game, 5 rebounds, 1 block, 1 steal per game, shot 42% from the field, 35% from the three-point line, and 81% from the free throw line in 21 games with us last year after that New York Knicks trade. Obviously that involved Carmelo. It's great to have Wilson back. He's such a versatile player. He helps us in so many areas. This is a guy that can get you 15 to 20 points on any given night. I don't think Wilson will start right away. He'll probably be our 6th man, but I think if he's able to outplay Aflalo, which is going to be pretty tough because Aflalo's playing pretty well as of late, and George Karl obviously is real high on Aaron. If he can do that, though, I think Wilson definitely can challenge Aflalo for that starting 2 spot and definitely can eventually make his way into the starting 5 for us. But primarily, I think Wilson would be our 6th man coming off the bench. And it's great to have him back. He's a guy that is a very underrated, very good defender. Gives us another guy to put on Kevin Durant when we match up with the Thunder, which is always a plus. You can definitely wear Kevin Durant down with the amount of guys that we can put on him. And Wilson's a guy that obviously already knows our system, fits well into our system in terms of what we want to do on both ends of the floor, is a guy that has a great stroke, can shoot the 3 ball, has a great mid-range game, and is going to help us in times where, there's games where the game slows down and we're playing kind of a half-court style of game, which doesn't favor us, and we're struggling to get a bucket in playing that style. Wilson's a guy that we can give the ball, and he can get us a bucket to get us jump-started going in our half-court offense, so help us in terms of our execution there. And, very solid rebounder, guy can run the floor, can finish at the rim very well, and like I said, it's versatile. Does a lot of different things, very well, and as a guy's going to help us with our free throw shooting, which is a plus. Now, some people are definitely kind of, knocking this deal, thinking that we may have overpaid Wilson because of his performance last year in the playoffs against the Thunder. He only averaged 4.8 points per game to go along with 4.4 rebounds per game against the Thunder in that playoff series last year. Only shot 28% from the field and 14% from the three-point line. Obviously, that's a concern, but you got to understand that was Wilson Chandler's first year in the playoffs. The guy is only 24 years old. He's turning 25 here in May. He's still got a lot of room for growth and improvement, and I don't think you can just knock the guy for one bad playoff performance and one bad playoff series. I think that, this is a year for Wilson to redeem himself, and I think it's a pretty good deal for us, and I'm excited to have Wilson. Gives us even more depth, which our depth is almost becoming a problem for us. We're so deep, and Wilson's obviously gives us another young guy, just adding to our youth movement here in Denver, and does so many things for us. I already mentioned with his ability to score the ball, very good rebounder, very good defender, can help us with our half-court offense and fits into our up-tempo style play, on the offensive end. So that's my thoughts on the re-signing of Wilson Chandler and the trade the Nuggets made in sending Nene to the Wizards for JaVale McGee. So thank you for watching, guys. Leave me a comment below with what you think on these moves that the Nuggets made. Really excited to see Wilson Chandler and JaVale McGee in action tonight, making their regular season debuts for the Nuggets here against the Mavericks. Should be a fun one. So yeah, thank you for watching, guys. Thanks for the support, and as always, go Nuggets.